the Arkansas Philharmonic Orchestra, here to help you out with your all-region audition excerpts. First off, for all of them, just obviously make sure you're always practicing with a metronome, no matter what tempo you're going at. It's really important that you're keeping your tempo consistent throughout, as that's often the most important thing people are looking for in an audition. Also make sure that you're recording yourself frequently, at least once a day, because that can really bring your attention to any problem spots that you might not be noticing in your own practice. The first excerpt here is from Scheherazade. It's a very popular symphonic suite retelling 1001 Nights. This excerpt is an arrangement taken from the third movement to cello soli, and if you are being a good musician and looking up this excerpt in context, I have a timestamp here, about 23 minutes and 33 seconds. That's in the YouTube video with the score going through it. You will definitely notice a few differences basically between the original excerpt and this one. Of course, first off, it's in a different register, but also in terms of rhythm, articulation, and several dynamics. So all in all, while I recommend you listen to it, make sure you're doing exactly what's on the page here. Another kind of obvious note, the tempo marking should be eighth note equals 120, not quarter note, as if you did a quarter note, that would be some strange hemiolas throughout here. For this excerpt, you want to focus as much as you can on a very smooth, legato, pure tone, very consistent, and a very consistent vibrato throughout the whole thing. In order to do this, it's great practice for making sure your shifts are very smooth and imperceptible and very, very quick. Even the very first shift here, you see, even though it's a slow tempo, it needs to be happen very quickly. Make sure you're sliding with no pressure on your finger and not coming off the string at all. An argument could be made, I suppose, if you want to make a small slide at least once. Not at least, only do it once if you do want to do the slide. And just make it very, very gentle. But I think it's important that you're making the shift imperceptible as much as you can, at least once. Now, while there are no dynamic markings throughout this excerpt, aside from the mezzo piano at the beginning, I think some obvious phrasing can be made. Basically, when the line goes up, bring it up, and when it goes back down, leading to the long held note, of course, come back down. Slowly to demonstrate the slight phrasing. All of that, I believe, was kept within a nice mezzo piano. So no one will question your dynamic consistency there. Starting at measure 7, and I'm going with the big blocked measure numbers here, not what's on the side. Starting at measure 7, you will be dealing with what I consider to be a great example of a fingering that is technically easy in the sense that you won't be shifting at all, but in terms of actually trying to make it sound good or even decent, I find this excruciatingly difficult. And I think you'll see what I mean here soon, but starting at measure 7, I would try to cover up this fifth as much as possible by A, creating a decrescendo into the E, and B, while you're on the B, vibrating very much on the right side of the string. And so that it's only a push of the finger rather than a pickup. The pickup would be very, very dangerous if you did try to move it that way. really the issue for the remainder of this excerpt is constantly crossing over to the open A string. In order to do that cleanly, gently, beautifully, without having any kind of honking, squawking, or squeaking, which is very, very possible when you're crossing over to the open A, I would try to lift up my bow a little bit, weight-wise, I should say, and try to do it as far out in the bow as possible. It's on an up bow, so you're going to be coming closer to the frog, but that would be the most ideal in terms of tone quality. The second one is a little bit easier because you'll go all the way out to the tip. So yes, make sure that you're picking up your weight, but don't do it too much. It's a very fine line so that you don't get something like that where you're bouncing off the string, or again, getting a strange kind of squeaking sound. So I would recommend just, obviously don't do this for the actual audition, but I would kind of recommend practicing an alternate fingering, because this should be the tone quality that you should be seeking after. Starting at measure 6. Obviously, with that fingering, the tone quality, the vibrato, and everything is much, much, much more consistent, and to me, that is extraordinarily easier than doing these string crossings in what is supposed to be a very beautiful and flowing orchestral excerpt. So again, it's just food for thought in terms of practicing an alternate, but not for the actual audition. Make sure you're doing, again, exactly what's on the page. But I hope that helped, and I'll see you in the next video.